Finally, this is being spoken about openly. A large-scale mobilization has been announced in Russia. The situation has gone far beyond the Kremlin's plan. The reserves are almost exhausted. Putin is in agony, searching for streams of soldiers for the front. The Russians themselves are resisting as best they can. Every other person has no desire to return home in a body bag. In shock, Moscow is nervously overhauling its strategy. Urgent calls for volunteers are appearing, along with heightened security measures for key facilities. The system has been shaken, and now the Kremlin is trying to patch the holes as the situation escalates. Will the autumn-winter draft end up swallowing Putin himself? We'll talk about this in just a moment. The cannon fodder conveyor. Putin has signed a law introducing year-round conscription into the Russian army.
We feel confident, secure, and stable, and despite certain inevitable costs, which of course will naturally be associated with many different things in life, we remain assured.
The new law allows military enlistment offices to operate without breaks, and dodging service will become even harder.
Well done.
Victory will be ours.
Absolutely.
Victory will be ours.
But this optimistic and hopeful mood will very soon leave these brave heroes.
Never go to this special military operation. You'll get caught. The number of people we've lost, it's just...
And we'll lose even more because Putin is doing everything to make that happen. According to the new procedure, recruitment into the army will take place throughout the entire year, from January 1st to December 31st.
And not just during the spring and autumn drafts, but also at other times throughout the year when important decisions and preparations are made. Maintaining consistent attention and effort is essential beyond those well-known periods. The so-called special military operation.
According to the new rules, draft notices can now be posted in the state electronic register. And the deadline to report to the military enlistment office must not exceed 30 days from the moment the notice is published.
These measures are already being implemented across the territory of the Russian Federation, and they have primarily affected citizens of the Central Asian republics. In addition, we should note that this decree will lead to
Putin signed another law that allows reservists to be involved in guarding critically important infrastructure facilities. Russian media note that this is about strengthening control over military and
apparently they will be sent directly to the front line of combat contact. In other words, strategic facilities will now be protected right at the zero line.
Simply put, Putin's new rules essentially legalize year-round raids and constant pressure on conscripts. And while the Kremlin dictator makes decisions from his warm office and tells stories about how Russians are supposedly lining up voluntarily to go fight,
Our guys, on the other hand, go voluntarily. They go of their own free will. Here we have 50 to 60,000 guys coming on their own every month.
on the front lines, Russian soldiers cursed the day they enlisted. Some were lured by money but ended up with nothing. Others were simply deceived and thrown in as cannon fodder.
My head got screwed on straight a lot faster. It only took me about 3 or 4 months to fully grasp the reality of the situation. I'd rather get caught and go to prison than go back there.
Since the start of the full-scale invasion of Ukraine, the aggressor country Russia has lost about 1.5 million soldiers. Since the beginning
Of 2025, 336,000 citizens of the Russian Federation have signed contracts with the Russian Federation's armed forces. And now, attention to the assessments of British intelligence regarding the losses of the Russian occupiers. From January to November, they maintained 353,000 military personnel. In other words, the losses of the Russian army are much greater than their ability to replenish their personnel. That is, it's a matter of addressing these issues. Restoring and replenishing military personnel through volunteers, even with financial incentives, and most of these volunteers are residents of Russia's economically depressed regions, does not truly solve the problem of replenishing their ranks.
No matter how many soldiers the Kremlin sends to Ukraine, only defeat and death await them here. And the Russian ruler understands this perfectly well. But he doesn't care. Right now, there is panic in the enemy's command centers. A new generation of Ukrainian drones has appeared on the battlefield. Their debut was a signal. Hard times have come for the Kremlin. This is a revolution in warfare. The old Mavics are becoming history because these birds operate with surgical precision, destroying everything they see. After the first strikes, the enemy is literally stunned. Ukrainian engineering ingenuity is turning the front upside down. Will this be the turning point of the war? The answer is in the story in just a few minutes.
Intelligence. Adjusting the fire to hit the target by dumping ammunition. Is the Chinese Mavic drone the main weapon of the armed forces of Ukraine in the war against the occupier? And now Ukrainian industry has started supplying domestically produced UAVs of the Mavic type to the front lines.
Mr. X personally invested and created the Ukrainian Mavic, and we will see it soon. They say the first 1,000 have already been delivered to the battlefield.
Compared to the Chinese Mavic, the Ukrainian counterpart has a greater flight range and can carry a heavier payload. It is used both for reconnaissance and strike missions. The importance of Ukrainian drones appearing in this niche is hard to overestimate because supplying Mavics to Ukraine faces enormous problems.
DJI has banned sales to Ukraine, piously declaring that its products are not intended for military purposes, so drones have to be purchased from third parties. The security issues are obvious. The Pentagon has banned any use of DJI drones which send data back to the manufacturers. DJI has also added security features that make it impossible for the latest models to fly in geo-blocked zones, including Ukraine, without extensive hacking. Ultimately, sovereign drone production is a key strategic capability. In the future,
the Ukrainian analog of the Chinese Mavic drone is called Shmavic, and despite its ironic name, it has already been certified and comes with some serious features.
Shmavic is positioned as a tactical reconnaissance drone designed to carry out operational tasks on the front lines, unlike the civilian Mavic, which is mainly used for aerial photography and videography. Shmavic is built for combat conditions. It has a range of up to 15 kilometers, a flight duration of up to 60 minutes, and is equipped with a reliable navigation system that is resistant to interference.
As early as last year, the government announced its interest in replacing Chinese drones. At present, manufacturers have already completed certification of Ukrainian Mavics and have set up production.
As of today, it is impossible to fully replace the fleet of Mavics currently operating in Ukraine in the short term. Our weapons engineers are already working on designs that meet the requirements of our special services. Now it is necessary to scale up this production and minimize the number of foreign analogs as much as possible, transitioning to domestic models.
There are already numerous Ukrainian analogs of the Mavic, including Ukreporter, Yaetia, and the magical Shmavic. They are larger than Mavic drones, equipped with long-range jammers, and are more expensive. However, they may turn out to be more economical due to their greater reliability.
For us, the key indicator is not the price per drone, but the cost of a single mission. While a typical Mavic performs about 60 missions per drone, our systems on average complete around 300 missions per unit. With a comparable purchase price, the cost of a single mission is 5 times lower. And this means that the military units operating our drones gain a much greater overall economic benefit. Drone manufacturer.
Independent UAV production is the most important element in modern warfare. And Ukraine knows this better than anyone. Since short-range drones and long-range strike UAVs have become the most crucial elements of national defense.
Urgent news. There is a real explosion from within in Russia. Putin is afraid of his own heroes who have just returned from the so-called special military operation. An urgent order has been issued to purge the contract soldiers and restore discipline. Footage is appearing online from the very heart of Russia. Chaos, panic, and mutual betrayal. The realities of life in the Russian Federation are now different. Propaganda has been ordered to stay silent. The topic of the army is now forbidden. Tension is rising in Moscow, and a wave of protests has swept across the region. People are taking to the streets, fear is turning into anger. The situation is on the edge, and anything could happen next. All the details about this, don't miss the upcoming report.
What could be more frightening for Russians than sending their own son or husband to the front in Ukraine? That's right, if he comes back from there...
In St. Petersburg, a man who returned from the war is terrorizing his apartment building, threatening his neighbors, and throwing some kind of imitation grenade from the balcony.
Few people want to live on the same street, or worse, in the same building with these so-called heroes of the special military operation. As a rule, these newly minted veterans were already notorious outcasts before the war, and after returning from the front, they've completely lost all restraint. Theft, murdering their own drinking buddies, rape and robbery have become everyday occurrences in the peaceful lives of Russian special military operation veterans. There is
such a popular saying among us. There's really no effective defense against a crowbar, except perhaps using another crowbar to counter it.
For Russian ex-convicts, drug addicts, and psychopaths returning from the war, that other crowbar will be another crowbar. How can I put this more gently? The story with the sledgehammer. It's hard to believe, but Russian propagandists are increasingly openly talking about the killing or zeroing out of their own soldiers. Bloggers insist that there is no place for participants of the special military operation in civilian life. The state isn't even considering bringing them back and helping them adapt to peaceful life.
All these people who have received weapons and gone through the war have a very significant and serious criminal future. Something needs to be done with them.
Moreover, those returning from the war are far from the best of the best. The new Putin military elite, as the man in the bunker calls it, is made up entirely of ex-convicts who were granted amnesty.
I would really like to gaze directly into the eyes of the person who made the decision to use prisoners in combat operations, because this is a time bomb.
And it will explode inside Russia itself.
Or maybe they're just idiots. A significant portion of our current contingent already consists of people who, while serving time or under investigation, sign contracts with the Ministry of Defense. So they either avoid punishment from the court, or they get out of camps, out of prisons, and get the opportunity, as they say, to atone for their guilt with blood, but in reality, they just get an opportunity to kill while at large, and possibly, if circumstances turn out favorably, then later go free, fully pardoned, maybe even with awards and so on.
The solution that the Kremlin found is both ingenious and cruel at the same time. There are rumors that Putin simply ordered that no one should return alive from the front. Putin wants to send the convicts loyal to the authorities to Africa. As for the rest, following the good old Wagner PMC tradition, they'll be disposed of.
The first option is to send them somewhere in Africa. The second option is that, well, let's put it mildly, there'll be the story with the sledgehammer.
At the same time, it's worth noting that such a proposal, which is increasingly voiced by Kremlin propagandists, seems to have received tacit approval from the Russian population as well.
Because this is Russian Nazism. They get a thrill from death. That's the only thing that really excites them.
A full-scale campaign against Russian contract soldiers who have returned from the so-called special military operation is also being waged on Russian federal channels. There, around the clock, 24/7, they keep persuading people to sign a contract with the Ministry of Defense. But when it comes to the death toll at the front, the Kremlin has ordered everyone to keep silent. That's how Russian propagandists operate. They cut from the broadcast a part of Putin's conversation with an 11-year-old girl who asked the president to bring her uncle back from the war.
Well, now we're heading to the front. He was wounded in the arm. He was in the hospital. He isn't being treated at all. Now they're sending him out on a mission. I would like him to be transferred to a good hospital in Russia.
Russian propaganda has received the command to go ahead. The Kremlin's mouthpieces have been tasked with turning on their own soldiers.
Just go and make sure you don't get beaten.
It seems Putin is tired of playing war with old toy soldiers, so the bunker dweller ordered to get rid of them.
Weakness is unacceptable because it creates temptation, the illusion that some issue can be resolved with us.
Endless video appeals from grief-stricken Russian mothers desperately trying to find their children who went missing at the front, pleas for help from wounded and abandoned contract soldiers left without medicine or medical care, and complaints from mobilized troops about the unbearable conditions. The unbearable conditions of service in the Russian army seem to have finally gotten to Vladimir Vladimirovich. But instead of solving the problem, the bunker dweller prefers to simply ignore it, and he has ordered Russian propagandists to stop any discussion about the troubles in the Russian army.
Just don't. It's really and honestly simply absurd.
Putin only needs soldiers on the battlefield. Outside of it, all these people become a threat to the Kremlin, unprincipled. And those who are skilled with weapons can cause the regime significant problems.
What do I want to say? The guys working in the swamps record everything clearly and hide nothing. There will be an order in place. Only in the most extreme case should you return home. Only in the most extreme case. And even then, only if, in other words, the order is to spread out to all possible breathing places.
Those individuals who refuse to spread out or disperse when asked will ultimately be eliminated from the group.
That's all from me. This was me, Darina Hutsakalo. Even more hellish news in our next episode. And in the meantime, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, subscribe and leave a like. See you.
Every voice matters. Join our community, support independent journalism and help us bring you the truth from Ukraine. Become a member of Ukraine Today. Join us now.